All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Elite 100. Great to see everybody here. If you guys could flip on your cameras. Love it, love it, love it. All the smiling faces, my friends, my family, my peer group. Super exciting week for us. We're doing our first ever inner circle retreat, which is, you guys obviously have been to a couple of Elite 100 retreats, and the teams just come together. Really excited for that. So exciting week for us. But why don't we kick off with a few wins, and then we'll read the mastermind principles. Who's got some wins that they want to share? Kevin?
Yes, I was training with my coach this morning, and he has some financial distress. So I was really grateful to help my coach.
Oh, wow.
His coaching business. So I get to invest in him and his vision in the business. So I'm very grateful about that. It's a privilege. He's been in the business for like 20 plus years.
Wow.
This guy knows what he's doing, but he just doesn't have the money. So I think that cash infusion is gonna help him to scale, to grow to the next level. So
Very cool. Very cool. When the student becomes the coach, huh? I love it. I love it. Matt, what about you, bud?
Well, I think one of the big wins is we're here this week. The past 2 weeks, we either out with the family or we were down at Rudy Mauer's event. So, we're awesome to be here and just be part of this family. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had a lot of level of awarenesses as far as some of the paradigms that haven't served me, and really releasing some trauma from the past. And we have a lot of clarity as far as our company, the Elevated Human Experience, and hit the terror barrier numerous times about the safari business. However, we were meeting like once a week, and I'm like, how do we create a business like once a week? And so I've been with my partner like 4 or 5 times a week, and we're making major traction. So things are going really well. High vibration, things are in a great space. So happy to be here, everybody.
Love it, love it. Yeah, Rudy's a good guy. I was actually with him yesterday filming TV segment. So definitely a good guy. He's an intense marketing guy. Who else has a win they want to share? Everybody's life sucks. Anybody get a coffee this morning? Anybody wake up, have 2 legs? Yun, what about you?
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. There's so many wins, so many things coming, and just the all the experiences, just like Matt was talking about, our company really getting more clarity, getting more people. That's part of the mission. Rudy Mauer's event. I also want to just kind of throw this out there and plant the seed. We have an amazing syndication opportunity in Augusta, Maine, and we're getting these doors at like a fraction of the price. So anybody that is interested in any syndication, I'd be happy to do a presentation off the call. So you guys know how to get a hold of me through WhatsApp. Like I said, it's amazing, right? Just to know that we just focus on ourselves, and everything we desire just comes together and together and together. So thank you. And again, I'm so happy to be back on this call with you guys.
No, it's good to see you.
Can I add another thing too?
Sure, yeah.
I was so happy and honored to run your calls yesterday. So I wanted to add that. It was amazing, amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's the power of the group, right? Because this is the only group where I have peers and mindset that I would actually trust my baby, right? Our company to lead a call. So thank you so much. It's an honor to have that, and same with you guys. If you ever needed me to do the same thing, obviously we'd be willing to do that. So I love it. Thank you guys so much. Greg?
Awesome, guys. I'm so excited. We talk about flow and ease all the time. And I'm launching the most simplistic investment fund that's the world has ever seen, and so I'm super excited about that. And just through trial and error, and so I just jumped off a call just before this with some of my partners on that. So I'm excited to announce that and just bring that awareness to you all. So I couldn't be happier for it.
Yeah, like I said, when you need a satellite, let me know.
Yeah, I will. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Greg, would you like to lead us in the mastermind principles if I pull them up?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
I think I read them last week too.
Did you? Somebody else want to? Michael, Shine? How about you?
Okay.
Sweet.
I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I'm open to looking at myself, my problems, and opportunities from another's point of view. I decide to release my desire totally in trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive myself for mistakes I've made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past, so I can move into the future with a clean slate. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires, and I hear my mastermind partners supporting me in my fulfillment. I accept. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so. Dedication and covenant. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to the world and my fellow human beings, to live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow, and to remain an open channel of God's will. I go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy.
Amazing. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. And before we get into the hot seat with Mr. Stech, we have a little quick 5 minutes sort of announcement on something that could be an amazing investment for anybody in real estate. So we're going to do a full-blown pitch tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I'll give you guys the details in the chat. But it's something I looked at, and it seems like it's going to be revolutionary. And truth be told, real estate is not my main focus. But some of you guys here are. So I would love to have you guys show up if possible to help sort of vet this thing. Kyle, if you want to just give us a couple of minutes and introduce your business partner and just a brief overview. And again, if you guys are interested, tomorrow night, 5 p.m., full-blown presentation, Q&A type of thing. But Kyle, why don't you tell us what's up?
So, Brian, thanks for introducing that. So my business partner, Norman DeSilva, is on as well. And, obviously I know real estate pretty well. And not only do I know it pretty well, but we've looked for problems anytime I look at, and Norman and I have come up with a solution for a lot of problems that are out there in the real estate market. And I don't want to get too deep into it because we'll get into it tomorrow, but end of the day, I firmly believe it is revolutionary. I believe there's a huge appetite for this product. It's a startup. We've got a lot of people interested in being the first investors in. And I'm going to let Norm kind of get into it. But my reason and my understanding, my problem solving here was, at the end of the day, one of the problems that people have is when they own a single family property, if they want to invest and buy a multifamily property, they don't have the 20% to put down, or they struggle with the payments, they struggle with the cash flow. So we've looked at a equity opportunity in lieu of debt that allows buyers to come in, put down 5 or 10%, and instead of paying a mortgage, they actually pay a dividend off to the investor. So it cuts down your payment, it allows you to cash flow. It's a great barbell strategy, and we'll go into it way more in depth. But the amount of ancillary businesses that can come from this based upon everything that's done well on the Zillow, on the Realtor.com, and on different licensing sides is just enormous. So Norman, I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Sure. Thank you guys for having me and allowing me to speak here for hopefully just 2 or 3 minutes. If you can't hear me, just shout. But basically, a very quick background on me. I'm an NBA scout. I'm with the Celtics. This idea kind of formulated about 6 months to a year ago. And I used to be a scout for the 76ers. I took this idea to one of the managing owners of the Sixers. Our group is a bunch of Wharton guys from Penn. Josh Harris is at Apollo. And I took this to David Blitzer at Blackstone, and he really liked it. They kind of put us through a vetting process. And at the end of the day, kind of, I'm still an NBA scout. I'm not a professional real estate developer by any means or anything like that. But he kind of sent me on my way and said, hey, if you can get on the scoreboard, get this thing built in a functioning fashion, then we'll get behind you. So that was kind of the motivation that gave me the encouragement to get behind or get this thing rolling. A 10,000-foot view, really, we want to become an alternative to the mortgage. And I don't think I need to paint the problem any clearer for you guys in terms of affordability. And especially first time home buyers, people in my generation in their, whatever it is, 20s, 30s, or people that, are struggling for buying power as it is. And if you don't have a home to sell, you're really tough to get in the game. So what we're trying to do is become an alternative to the mortgage and allow people to finance their property or purchase without any debt. Right. And that's the big part is trying to get people in homes with some equity in the home without taking on debt. And effectively, the easiest way to explain it to people is, and there's some really smart people on this call, I have no question you'll grasp it. But basically, if you were to raise money for a company, right, if you're in Shark Tank, there's two ways you could raise money that you don't have. You could take out a loan, and you'd have to pay that back. So debt, or you could sell equity, right? And what we think is we can apply that very same principle to purchasing real estate, right? So instead of going to a bank and taking on this burdensome debt and then having to pay interest, basically allowing people to sell the outstanding equity. So if they were to come in with their 10% or 20%, right, that's what they would own. We would provide the rest in cash, and we would own the other 90 to 80%, whatever the breakdown is, and we would be partners on the property. Okay. As the time goes on in the background, we're going to securitize our equity and sell it into a secondary market, right, and create a bond-like product for investors. But the bottom line here is the value proposition for buyers is huge. What we're offering is half the cost of a monthly mortgage payment, right? So if your mortgage is $5,000 a month, with us, you'd be about $23,000 or $2,400 a month. So that month-to-month payment is cut in half, which is a huge help to affordability. And I'll kind of leave it at that. I don't want to go too far into it, but again, we're doing a full presentation tomorrow night. So thank you, Brian, for having us on.
I just wanted to generate some interest. Like I said, when I looked at it, I was like, holy shit, if what you're saying works, and this is why, I'm looking at some of you guys, Kevin, Ara, Yun, Matt, Blake, you guys, I'd love to have you guys come on if possible, help these guys punch holes in this thing. I couldn't find any. And this is a massive multi-billion-dollar play. It's the equivalent of, like you said, some of these major, Zillow type plays. And
we have SoFi Financial. Also, SoFi, I know the head of lending there. I went to a Red Sox game with him about 2 weeks ago. They're pumped. One of my major title guys is pumped. So we're just trying to get this thing off, prove the concept. I already have 50 investors ready to go with this thing. Once we have once we've raised the income that we need, the capital rather that we need. So tomorrow we'll go way deep into it because there's so many layers of it. But it's definitely solid. We've been working on it day and night and just trying to perfect the pitch deck and the capital raise and what investors are looking for. Because I think when you hear what we provide to investors, what the return is, it's really, really palatable and exciting. So tomorrow we'll go into it. Don't want to get too deep and take up too much of the call, but tomorrow night we'll be on and Norms does a nice job presenting it.
Thanks. And in 30 seconds, just the capital raise, we're looking for 10 million with the opportunity to go to 20. It would be for 10% equity in the company. And again, this capital is going to get returned in 6 to 12 months, right? It's not like you're just throwing it off into the wind. These are collateralized one-to-one. And we'll also have monthly distributions of up to 10% of earnings. So that's just the very, very bare bones of the capital raise. So you guys have an idea.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So look, guys, look for the link in the chat, the WhatsApp chat. We will record it as well because I know it kind of comes up quick, and we always do. But for those of you, I saw this solving a problem after Dave and Blake, who's coming up next, did their State of the Union on where the market is. I'm like, holy cow, this is not just first-time home buyers. Matter of fact, I think it's more powerful for investors, real estate investors, because you can literally get into things. If it's cash flowing, like half the monthly pay, you can make it cash flow. So I don't want to spoil it either, but if you're interested, show up tomorrow. We'll record it. And thanks, Norm, for coming on. You and I are chatting tomorrow anyway on a deeper level. So look forward to that.
Thanks, Brian.
Cool. All right, guys, without further ado, I want to get into the purpose of this call, which I think these calls, when we do a hot seat for somebody, to me, there's really no higher value when the whole group gives back to one member. And I love these personally. And I think we've had some just amazing ones where people have gotten, revolution ideas in their business. So without further ado, I want to bring Blake Stech front and center. I know he's going to give you just, a lot of you guys know Blake, but a little bit of his background, where he's going. And then, Blake, some of what you need the group for, whether it's connections or, social media or whatever it is, will help you out.
Cool. I appreciate it. But I I've got a deck. Can you give me
Yeah, let me
screen
do that.
sharing permissions?
Glad you didn't say that with an accent.
Oh yeah, that part. I got you.
You should be good
All
now.
right, should be good. All right, let me give it a try. Yep, looks good. All right, there we go. All right, is that visible for everybody? Yep. All right, sweet. All right, so I'm actually not going to give too much background on myself or the family. I think from what you guys have heard from Dave, when he shared on these calls or in Miami, or for those of you guys who were on Just Be the Bank, probably have a kind of a decent sense for what we've been up to as a family for the last going on 15 years now is when we really came together and made a push to really go all in real estate. This is not hardly anything to do with growing your wealth in real estate. This is really the education community that spun up pretty organically. There was a bit of a clamor for it from people that had followed my dad as he spoke at various RIA meetings over the years. He started out small, just speaking at local RIA meetings, gained a bit of a following, ended up at places like Harvard, as I think you guys probably remember from his talks. And over time, there was just more and more desire for us to create education, training materials, and ultimately this community we call Access, where kind of the core premise is that already successful, high net worth individuals and families can kind of cheat off of what our family office does in terms of research, investments, and how we optimize our family. So that was more preamble than I planned to give you. And the only other little bit of preamble is that if you guys find it difficult to help me overcome my challenge, I don't think I'm not going to blame you at all, because this is not, I'm not really looking for tactical help here. This is kind of a big picture strategic challenge that I've run into. I think maybe you guys will find it valuable in your own business. And again, if we can't come to a consensus about exactly how to solve this thing, I'm not at all going to be worried. I know it's going to lead to some great conversation, and hopefully you guys will find some value. So my C-type goal, I'm so happy and grateful now that Access has 1,000 paying members, leading to annual gross revenue of $35 million, margins of 80%, and $10 million per year in my pocket. My B-type goal, to add 100 plus multimillionaire or decamillionaire entrepreneurs to our Access community in the next 12 months. People who are serious but unsophisticated about optimizing their wealth through investing, and who know that just building and selling their business alone isn't a holistic path to greater financial and time freedom. So I wanted to give you guys my take on 3 of the core things that I believe you need to grow a business. One, I think you need to deliver insane value to prospects and be willing to delay the ask, as in delay when you finally ask them to start paying you for it. To me, if you can provide for free the level of content that other people charge for, you'll eventually attract your avatar. And the idea here is that the longer your runway, the bigger the plane that can take off. So the more time you feed people really high value, free stuff, when you finally do make that ask, it can be a fairly big one, like ours is with a 24K per year membership into a community. I also think you need to build a world-class product or service and be obsessed with customer success. This is key, of course, for retention. They're going to stick around longer if they feel like if they're having success as they stay with you, but also for acquisition, since word of mouth advertising is quadratic, where every other acquisition channel is linear. And I won't dig into that. And if it doesn't make sense, I'd be happy to answer it in chat, maybe when I stop presenting here at some point. That does require a solid culture, teams, systems, playbooks, and that sort of thing. And then 3, related to number 2, this is what I want to talk to you guys about on this call, is I think you need to be crystal clear on the customer's dream outcome and make sure that you can deliver it in a programmatic, expedited, efficient way. So I highlighted this because this is really what I'm hoping you guys can help me with. I'm trying to determine the best dream outcome for our customer so that we can engineer our product to solve for it, highlight it in our offer, and then categorize the content that we deliver to ensure people know they're making progress toward it. So this should be pretty instructive for you guys. If you haven't read $100 Million Offers from Alex Hormozy, this is where I got it from. one of the best business books you will ever read. I can promise you that. I've highlighted the living crap out of it and get something new out of it every single time I go back through it. So he talks about, and this may be the big nugget in that entire book for you guys. He talks about the value equation. Value is equal to the customer's dream outcome times their perceived likelihood that they're going to achieve that outcome, divided by, and you know, this sounds like more math, more like a rigid math equation than it actually is, but dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by the time delay that the customer experiences before they achieve it, times the effort and sacrifice that's required on their part in order to achieve it. So to maximize the value, the perceived value that somebody gets from your product or service, you want to increase the dream outcome, as in make it as big a problem as possible that you can, or make the problem big enough in the prospect's mind that it's really worth solving for them and it would be valuable for someone to step in and solve it. You want to maximize the perceived likelihood that they're going to have success using your solution to that problem. And that's provided you demonstrate that through testimonials, proven case studies. And then on the denominator side, you want to minimize the time delay that they go through before they feel like they've achieved it. And you also want to minimize the effort and sacrifice. And the example that Alex Hormozy uses is in weight loss. If somebody's dream outcome is to lose 20 pounds and they think it's going to take 3 months, and they're super certain based on your track record, the testimonials, case studies, that you can help them do it. Well, what if instead of 3 months, that the minute you ran their credit card, their 20 pounds just melted off and they had a six-pack ab, like they had six-pack abs. Your product would be, and they had no effort and sacrifice to get there, your product would basically have a 0 on the denominator side, an infinitely valuable numerator side, and thus the value proposition would thus be infinite, right? Takes no time and no effort, and they get exactly what they want. So our current value proposition, and this is kind of the question, the setup that we give people when we're trying to arouse their curiosity about what we do. So we say that financial and time freedom starts with a question. If I could help you add a 0 to your net worth and income, and if I could help you claw back time to invest more in what you want to do, how would your life look different? How big a difference would that make in your quality of life and that of your family? See, we all really want the same thing, especially when we've achieved some measure of success in our lives. We want greater financial freedom and greater time freedom, and it starts on the financial side. So this is the money game triangle that I know you guys have probably seen. We talk about, to win the money game, you need to generate cash, accumulate assets that both throw off cash and go up in value, and you need to keep as much of both as possible. Most entrepreneurs, when they're trying to generate cash, they do it almost exclusively through their business. There's, in fact, on a subconscious level, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs think that the only dollar they're ever going to make is going to come from slaving away building their business. But there's other ways that you can generate cash, like buying and holding real estate, originating private loans and holding them while they pay you interest. Accumulating wealth, a lot of entrepreneurs, that category or that facet of the money game, their whole portfolio is their home. Maybe they own the building that their business operates out of, and maybe they're trying to grow their business to ultimately sell it off, and that can be considered an asset within their portfolio. But there's a lot of other kinds of assets that we know. Keeping both, people try to cut expenses, tax deductions. Maybe they're a little advanced and they do a 1031 exchange, but there's other things that we can do beyond that. My family we don't have a huge expertise in some of the creative things like Dalton and I have talked about on our calls, cost segregation, insurance policies, the various things that the super successful family offices do. We haven't necessarily gone as deep as we might be able to, and that's an area where I think we could stand to get better in order to add more value to our insiders. So anyway, our desired outcome is twofold: financial, time, and global freedom. You know what, I'm not actually going to even go through that, but here's one other bit that I want to share with you, because it's a framework that we use to help people understand what it takes to optimize how you play the money game. So to win the money game and the game of life, our family office does 3 things that elevate how we preserve and grow our income and wealth. We want to know what's coming next through research. We want to have the best investment blueprints, strategies, and opportunities. That's our investment pillar. And we want to be able to optimize our family in order to pursue our why, our causes, our legacy. And that's one of the things that we feel like lends itself to keeping more of both. The more you optimize yourself, the less likely you are to make bad decisions in your business, make poor investment decisions, under index on how you preserve you structure yourself from a tax standpoint, and then you give away too much money. So those are kind of the three content categories that we currently use to help people understand there's really three things that you want to do if you want to play the money game at a higher level. Or is coming back in, so I'll admit it. All right. And within the investments pillar, I honestly don't think we need to get into this, but I put it in there anyway. It's sort of a subcategory within that, the last 3-point framework that we looked at. We also talk about optimization as I got into. I won't get into this, but it's another pillar where we're trying to help people overcome deficiencies, shore up areas, these 12 categories in their lives so that they're just higher performers. They impart more wisdom to their kids and just do better at life. So anyway, at the end of the day, our goal is to teach entrepreneurs how to fish and encourage them to teach their families to fish for generations to come. And if they want, they can fish with us. But we really believe in education before investing. And this is something I talked about with Corbin last week, that one of the struggles we have is because our family office, our sort of thesis around growing wealth is so centered around investing. It's reasonable when people are exposed to access and what we do from an education standpoint, they immediately think of it in terms of the ROI of paying us to teach them. So how much money do they have to invest in our various opportunities in order to break even on the membership? I want to disabuse people of this notion that that's how they should be evaluating it. But I understand that if we're going to teach people how to invest, it's reasonable for them to approach it from that standpoint. So Dave learned the hard way from Merrill Lynch. Stockbrokers don't care. They just want to control our money, etc. So that led to Access. We believe that our insiders accomplished more together than they ever could on their own. And they were all referred by another entrepreneur. We're currently at 100-ish insider families. We don't do any marketing currently, although we're considering it. They all pay $2,000 or $24K a year for access to our research, investment opportunities, philosophies, and our family optimization strategies. In short, they want to cheat off of our family office. So I can come back to our avatar, but I think you guys probably have a sense for it. So here's my challenge, guys. I'm trying to maximize Access's answer to the value equation. For some reason, there it is, just to remind you what it looks like. And if you don't get the dream outcome right, the dream outcome is sort of the pacing item. Nothing else, you can't solve for anything else. Like the likelihood of achievement, how long does it take? You got to figure the dream outcome out first. So my question to you guys, and again, don't feel bad if there's not a ton of answers in the chat, and just, it's possible that nothing's going to leap to mind for you guys, but I'm hopeful that it will. My question to you is based on what you've heard.
Blake, why would you say that?
Yeah. What?
Why would you say that?
Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best.
I have a whole page of notes to help you with here.
Oh, all right. Awesome. All right, guys. Well,
you're going to get a lot of valuable feedback. I promise you.
All right, cool. And I don't, I know that this group is capable of solving this.
Gotcha.
I just, wanted to keep my own expectations reasonable. Based on what you've heard, and look, you guys are all already successful entrepreneurs. You're all multi or decamillionaires. So you're not unlike our avatar. In fact, you may even be our avatar. So based on what you want in your own life, what do you think our members' dream outcome is or should be? What is that big overarching outcome that they come to my family hoping we can provide, that we actually can provide, and in a way that solves for these other three things? So I think I'm supposed to stop there and let you guys.
A lot of good feedback. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'll jump in with my notes and then we can just raise your hands, guys. So that one thing there, what do you think the dream outcome could be? So a definition of freedom is a key thing that I think most people miss. And the way we define it in the matrix, and you're feel free to swipe copy this. Freedom is such a tough thing. So if you're projecting freedom, it's like, what is it? So freedom is being able to do what you want, with who you want, when you want, where you want. That's really, it's not a dollar amount, although we equate it to dollar amounts, right? So it's the ability to do what you want in life, business, health, wealth, love, family, friendships, with who you want, where you want, when you want. And if you have something like that as like the pillar of, we provide freedom, freedom equals, right? That's one thing I was thinking about. I think the biggest thing for you in your office is going to be PR. Getting on podcasts should be super easy to do with your influence. Some high level podcasts, you and Dave or whatever. You're going to get audiences like Bradley's audience, for example. He'd be a great one to get on. And you guys should have no problem doing that because of the influence you've already created. And podcasts are usually free or super cheap if it's a pay to play. So it's not really marketing, it's PR. You have the equation, you have it figured out. It's our big push this year and the foreseeable future too is PR. We also talked about the need to give so much value before you ask for a sell. And I would challenge that because Elon Musk did the opposite with the Tesla truck. And I don't know how many billions of orders they have, but there's no damn truck. So that's not a true statement that you need to do X before you charge. There's plenty of scenarios where people charge, they build so much excitement, then provide. Now, the reality is you guys already have the value. You have more value than you need. It's PR and your mental positioning of what you're doing and the value you're providing that I see. But think about that, right? If Elon can sell billions of trucks and nobody has a damn truck yet, it's a year or something before somebody's going to get one, means he has the ability to create excitement and buzz and value on something might not even exist yet. So it's just a challenge of your mindset on that. The other thing is 24K isn't a big ask. You said 24K is a big ask. It's not big or small. It just is for your group and your avatar. It's not for what you provide. It's so you want to start to minimize that in your language and your marketing and all the things that are you, right? It's 2K is nothing for the group that you're talking about, and adding a zero to your wealth for 2K a month, like what idiot wouldn't do that, right? You guys need to get into that framework of thinking like that, speaking like that, feeling like that. Like it's a privilege. Like we only charge 2K. We could be charging a 10K. But you want to make it available for certain groups, right? So it's more of a mindset thing around that.
Okay.
And then everything I see here is very left brain mechanical. What does it feel like to be in your group? You guys need to start answering that question. The culture, the community. People make decisions, even left brain people ultimately decide based on the feeling they're going to get. If it adds a zero, it's going to make me feel, right? So I would build more of that culture, community, feeling, spirituality, at least something, because ultimately, what does it feel like to be in your group? That's going to provide the stickiness and the referrals from the inside out.
Sure. Yeah. No, we could stand to improve our language.
And I can help with that with you guys
way.
on the side for sure.
Okay. Awesome.
If you did want to add an element of like a mindset or something like that, I can help you guys with that too. I'm happy to step in, do some stuff together, speak, whatever you want to kind of connect to the spiritual and more than just finance, because everything is here is financial. So more feeling and maybe tapping into spirit a little bit. It's like if they start to see that, and you'd have to talk with your dad on that. And the last thing I have is definitely you already have, get with Dalton, because I think because you guys are in Puerto Rico, you're not focusing on the tax part for everybody else that isn't as much.
Correct.
But if you start to solve that as well, which we have, the rollover business structures, and Dalton's got some amazing things that are for high net worth people. So I know you guys are already going down that road, but absolutely bringing that into your group, infinite banking and so many other structures. And also the thing tomorrow night, like if you can make it tomorrow night for the list ID presentations, I think you might see an element that would also be something to offer to your group, and you guys would need to vet that and do the thing. So
sure. Okay.
That's all I have. We have some hands raised. Let me grab the screen back so we can get everybody's faces.
So I actually had a couple other things
Okay, good. Yeah, good.
I was hoping to maybe drill down further. I wanted to stop here because I wanted to find out, just without biasing anybody, what do they think the dream outcome might be? And if that's those who have their hand raised, if you guys can hold on to that without, because now I'm going to bias you. I should have animated this by paragraph. So I actually, and you obviously keyed in on this, Brian, as I initially thought the dream outcome was add a zero to your net worth and income. And that is purely financial. I don't know that I've been thinking about it in anything other than financial terms, but I liked it because it's a C-type goal. And I thought of it before I knew what a C-type goal was, but I think it pretty clearly is that. They don't know how to do it. And it would take something deep within themselves or some outside influence to make that happen. So it's a C-type goal that relates back to the money game, i.e., if we're helping you generate more cash, if we're helping you accumulate a larger, more valuable portfolio of assets, and you're doing better than before at not losing it, not giving it away, then you'll feel like you're having success moving toward adding a zero. The problem is, and this is the thing that I should have just kept going on, but the problem is adding a zero doesn't really align with the way we've structured our content categories up to this point. We basically told people, when you come into Access, you're going to get exclusive, expensive market research. We're going to basically syndicate research and put it in a way that you can understand and actually make use of. We're going to show you investment blueprints and the strategies that we've built our family office on, and then bring in opportunities that align with those strategies. And then we're going to help you optimize yourself. So those are the three categories that we've used to create all the modules. We've focused every webinar on one of these three. So let me see if those are our content categories and we know people like them, what's the dream outcome that those three things roll up into? And maybe it still is at a zero, but I'm super left brain, Brian, and I'm trying to take like these three-pronged frameworks that we have that sort of go in this like descending order and roll them all up into one dream outcome that actually speaks to our prospective customer. So anyway, guys, I've been struggling with this quite a bit. So I don't, again, anything you have, I really appreciate. Maybe these.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
first thing I was thinking instead of add a zero is it's almost a matter of, as an entrepreneur, we want to eliminate ignorance. We want to gain competence. And we really want to have a framework to work with, but we like to play and we like to iterate. So it's really, a network of people. It's being surrounded by those who are doing it. It's the confidence, truthfully, that I see as a value in something like this, because it's, hey, you're around people that are doing this. You have a lot of strategies. You have people to bounce it off of. And so in other words, you can iterate in something, you can be smarter, but I don't know how to phrase this well, but without creating codependence, because if it's like, hey, I just do what Access does. I'm basically an employee, and all of a sudden I'm going to be tearing at the walls and trying to find holes in everything, right? But if it's like, hey, we can give you a framework that you can play within and operate within and iterate on, it's like, oh, great, I now have the confidence to do something because 88% of the issues have been ironed out, and we can play on top of that. That's ultimately, that's satisfying, because then that's something you can hand to your own family. Otherwise, I would just have to raise my kids, do whatever the Stech family says. And that's maybe not the mindset of, entrepreneurs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and was one of the bullet points I had was, I could sort of add to it based on what you said, was if the dream outcome was a proven but flexible framework for creating a wealth plan like that of a 9-figure family office, I mean, that sounds like a pretty good dream outcome that those categories can kind of roll up into.
Right, like create your own multi-generational strategy. So then it's something bigger than just the money, because generally somebody has numbers and stuff, and by the time they show up, they've bought enough things, whatever. It's like, okay, now we want to create a system, and that sounds, at least personally, a good bit sexier. Is like, wow, I've got this new system, this new tool to roll out, as opposed to maybe just a zero is very finite.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Blake, you might combine that too, and then we'll get to the other hands here. Is you might say add a zero to your net worth, like you can keep the tagline, but so that you can live a life of doing what you want, with who you want, where you want, when you want, like maybe adding on to it. Maybe the zero stays, but why the zero? Well, so that you can live and then explain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So that might be something to bounce around with your dad. And like I say, what I've found from people all over the world, ultimately, they want to do what I was saying. It's whatever the money is, it's so that they can really come and go as they please, work, do what they want for work, be with who they love, take vacations. So it's doing what you want, where you want, anywhere in the world. I find that's usually the common denominator. So maybe you could tag it onto something you already have. And,
it's like Bob says, right? It's the money, the whatever else is just sort of incidental, or it's a result of
it really is
moving toward that thing, Yeah.
And I know we get a lot here, so we'll try to keep these blasting. Antonio?
What's going on, Blake?
Hey, man.
I have like a very different view of what you presented. So I wanted to ask you something real quick. Are you a parent yourself?
It's a weird question, actually. Yes, yeah, yeah, I
I'm
am.
also curious how many people in Access are not building towards a family legacy?
Very few. Most are parents or
So
grandparents.
it's like a fraction of people that are like about the money. It's about this, but you have a big chunk of them where it's like family is a huge core thing for them. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah, and something we lean on very heavily.
How many of them would rather lose their families over their business?
Zero.
I know it's so what I'm actually really hearing the subtext is through family optimization. So to point out Elon Musk, I was talking with Bill Maher the other day of how much parents are not aware of what's going on in the education system. And I know a lot of people were like, hey, they've built a lot of wealth and they put their children in certain schools. And now their kids and now I'm talking to these entrepreneurs where it's like they're absolutely frustrated because they will never, ever, ever be grandparents because their kids are so leaning in a certain, they've really absorbed a particular ideology where like they hate capitalism, they hate certain things, they want to step away from the family, and it's like they're stuck. And they've leaned so much in the strategy of a business building, but not actually working with their kids and getting them entrenched into what they're doing. So with what you're saying as far as family optimization, I read that book 100 Million. So he talks about two different things. Hormozy is like the fear of losing out on something and then the gain of something. So you kind of said yourself that, the Blake family, the family office is really focused on these strategies to do this. But I think integrating those components is what makes it really, really powerful for me as a parent to get involved, because what I heard you say, you want to pre-frame your clients to view and appreciate Access differently than other organizations that are mathematical. Because they're looking at you in a certain way that like, it just needs to be money here, but you're like, it's more than that.
Yes.
So I think it's a pre-frame thing that needs to lean heavy on that for the loss of maybe family structure. Because there's one thing maybe we could all agree on, that I think the family unit today is being bombarded with a ton of different things and how to pull it apart. So all that wealth building, all that cool stuff that you're doing is going to mean nothing if like Chris Pepin lost his relationship with his son or me with my daughter because of all this other nonsense. So I think that component is what will make me really lean in and view you guys completely different than anything else on the market.
Yeah, shit, man. I really like that, because I think you and I are pretty philosophically in agreement that things are headed in the wrong direction. And yeah, that's a terrifying thought, that you could spend a bunch of money to send your kids to a private school and they come out brainwashed in a way that is completely misaligned with your own values. So that's definitely an angle to take, no question.
Yeah, and that's what I think what's going to create those family legacies like the Rockefellers and the Kennedys and so on and so forth is that component.
Yeah, I like it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, great advice, Antonio. I think that's what we're all leaning towards here too. It's like, it's that feeling, the family. You guys have a ton of great family structure advice, a ton of it. So leaning on that thing's good. Yeah, we'll try to keep these as fast as we can so we get everybody in.
Yes, I'll keep it really short. Antonio, amazing perspective. I love that, because that's kind of where I was leading to. Like, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you. You have no idea how much you and your family actually impact just because of the way that you guys are and how you guys operate. One of the things that, you made Matt and I really think about is really creating that goal of having a fat family backpack business, right? Like, we can go anywhere and do anything with, just like Brian was talking about, that freedom. And really, at the end of the day, I'm a huge believer of this. The true currency right now is time. It's more than money, it's time. And yet you guys have mastered on how to create the money. You also are a product of everything that came about in creating that income, as well as that family oriented. And I got to tell you, if we can really, really have that mindset of what I want for myself is what I want for others, and give yourself permission to say, what is it I truly want? Because Blake, like, there's so much that you're grateful for what you have received and what you created, but I know that there's so much more inside of you of what you want. And if you gave yourself the permission to express that, I guarantee people will flock to you and your family. Because I got to tell you, being parents, right? We want the best for our children. We absolutely do, but we want the flexibility so they find and define who they are and what they are, not by just doing exactly what we tell them to do and what they need to do, but that they're in curiosity of who they really are and the infinite potential that is inside of them, right? And I think that every parent here could absolutely say that they agree with me if we can provide that environment, and you and your family have like a lot of these building blocks. So I think if you really go and ask yourself, what is it that I want? What is my dream goal? What is my dream goal that if I give myself permission, what, like, I can just really allow that imagination to go. And if you can voice that and then spread that, Blake, people will be lining up, because just like Brian said, $24,000 is not a big ask for what the value you guys can deliver.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, it's so incredible what you guys have created. I just say expand more and ask Blake, what does Blake want? What would Blake really, really love? And then give yourself permission, because I can feel it inside. There's a lot more than just this adding the zero. Adding zeros are just going to be the outcome because you've given yourself permission.
Well, I appreciate that, Young. I really do. And yeah, I think that I add an element to the family office that Dave and Josh don't really have covered. And I don't disagree at all that there probably needs to be more of that communicated, especially as I become a more central piece of the whole operation. So yeah, really appreciate that, and I'll take it to heart. Thank you.
Yeah, great advice, son. Love it. Michael?
Okay, over here in the right brain community, all this left brain talk. Well, we already joined, so you already have us as a customer. And,
Perfect,
so
man.
I can tell you why we joined.
Oh, that's a good perspective.
First of all, because
Exactly.
I love the zero, add the zero. And second of all, I just absolutely love the community itself. And it feels like your family is, like Yun was saying, is an example for our family. And finally, it's just the legacy, what we want to live. So I feel like you've already got the right mixture, the right recipe. And it's just like Brian said, get out on more podcasts, because everybody I mention access to sounds like they want to be a part of it. So that's my 2 cents.
So
I
Michael, what
appreciate that, Michael. Yeah.
does it
Go
feel
ahead.
like? Can you describe, like, so you joined, I don't know how long you've been in, but because that's ultimately like the PR and the marketing wants to lead people to the way it feels to finally understand XYZ, or have the leadership and the family office that you guys have built, I think is the core of what people will be attracted to more than the zero.
You know, I guess when you ask me that, the first thing that comes to mind is confidence.
There you go.
I know that they do it. I know that they have the ability. I got to speak to 2 of the 3, not Josh, but Blake and Dave. And I just know it's the right step. And also I have my magic unicorn. So whenever she says something is the right decision, it always ends up being the right decision. So she was like, yeah, let's do this. And that was the end of it. So yeah. And she just said, I like their moral compass. So yeah, that's what it feels like. Feels like confidence. Feels like you can get to where you're going. Like, I have no doubt we're going to add a zero by being a part of it. So, yeah.
That right there is good feedback. As somebody just joined and why they joined, right? Confidence. Greg?
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. Greg, if you wouldn't mind bearing with me for 1 minute. Michael, it's one of the things that I didn't get to in the deck as much is part of the reason I'm so obsessed with this dream outcome thing is because I think you tie all of your customer success metrics back to that. You decide on a dream outcome, and then you figure out what are the things you can track and measure that help not only you as the business owner, but the customers understand that they're moving toward that dream outcome. So, Michael, without putting you on the spot, I mean, what do you feel like we need to help you track and be clear about that? If you know every quarter, every year, or something like that, how are you going to know at the end of a year that you've made progress on this thing? And I've got some ideas myself. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you've got any thoughts, I figured I'd ask you, having joined.
Well, I mean, I'm attracted, like, we're going to San Diego, and I know I'm going to see a lot of opportunities there. And my motto is massive income from passive income. So I know that it's a lot of offers where I don't have to spend active, just like Yun said, it's all about time. It's not, that's what I want. I want somebody to show me opportunities. And I love the way Dave always says, you don't have to invest in any of these, where it's just, we're going to present stuff. And we've already seen it. I already actually invested in Jared's program that was presented. And those type of things just keep coming up. So if in a year I've been presented with, I don't know, 10 new opportunities, which I'm sure. And also the community, I just love that part. I'm excited to meet the other members of Access. That would be a success for me. So
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Greg?
Yeah, thank you, Blake, obviously for sharing today. That helps us get some context to what you want. And I know a lot of us can speak to the gratitude that we have for you and your family as far as just what you've dispensed to us thus far. But one of the things that I'm reminded of about people's dreams is that when you can't breathe, your dream is to breathe. And so you have to bring people to that level of like, what the hell do they want, right? At the end of the day, right? So I think it's helpful to go through, like, Ivan's got this great life purpose, thing that, going through. So I would probably incorporate some of that into like helping peel some of that onion back.
Okay.
And of course, you're going through TIR. All of us have gone through TIR probably, once or multiple times, but you're seeing the world through your lens, right? So the world is your looking glass, right? Your environment is your looking glass. You're seeing it with that lens of what this approach has done for you and your family, which may or may not be the right approach for everyone else, but there's always those tonalities of what you guys bring in about trying to make people's lives better, which of course is going to resonate with everyone. But if you can bring people down to the level of like, if you can't breathe, you want to breathe, right? And so like that helps people really identify very quickly what they want and collapse timeframes, et cetera. So I would help people get to that point very quickly in their lives. And of course, then incorporating rather the systems and things like that you're talking about today. But again, if people don't know what they want, there's tons and tons of people walking around this planet that don't know what they want. So they get more of what they don't want, right? So your objective is to help people's lives get better through identifying that and making a course for that. So I think you're on the right track. It's just incorporating some of the mindset ideas that we have with TIR, as well as I would strongly encourage Ivan's life purpose exercise as well, which he has his hand raised now. So take it away, Ivan, in Spanish, please.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it, bud.
Yep.
Hello, amigo Blake. When are we going on jet ski, amigo?
Dude, let's jet ski all the way to Argentina. We killed two birds with one stone.
Puerto Rico. Remember, we were going to get the plane together, a private jet, and do Argentina, Puerto Rico. We need to do that.
I remember you floating that idea, and $90K for a private jet was, that's something Ivan Ans does, but the Stech family doesn't generally drop that kind of money on transportation. But when I hit the C-type goal, it'll be totally doable.
Exactly, amigo. Okay, listen. So my advice is, I saw on a slide that you show the different 12 areas of life. So something that I will encourage you to communicate to your members is that you should be not directing them towards seeing life as a fixed area on certain time, because life is more of a dynamic. So you cannot stop a creation in one area because you focus in the other area. Like, you say like, no, today I am focused only in romance. So this month is romance. Maybe I misunderstood the slide, and please clarify if I am wrong.
No, I think you got it.
Yeah, so basically, if you focus someone, let's say you focus someone on romance, and you say, okay, now my month this is a month of romance. That's impossible, because life is a dynamic on multiple areas of life that are constantly creating. And when you feel that, if you feel that you're not creating with your right hand, like you forgot, right, with your right hand about that life area, I promise you, it continue creating with your left hand. I mean, like, it continue happening there. Like, look at that friendship that you abandoned in the past. I promise you, it continue creating on its own if you don't take care of it. Look at that time that you didn't dedicate to your family. I promise you, it continue creating. Look at that company that you created in the past and you say, okay, you know, I am done with this thing. I promise you, it continue creating, even that you know it or you don't know it. So basically, I will suggest that you just focus that 12 areas of life and you say, okay, guys, you need to increase your ability to be able to create at the same time in more areas of life and be willing to experience and give the necessary communications in areas of life as they require attention in the moment. And play the game of continue creating all the areas of life with full responsibility. That's my only advice on what I saw on the side. Everything else is beautiful.
Well, thank you, bud. Yeah, that I couldn't agree more, man. And there is actually a pretty strong emphasis in that program on the interconnectedness of every one of the 12 chapters. And that's we partnered with Lifebook. I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone through Lifebook or heard of it. John and Missy Butcher created it, and I think it's on Mind Valley now. So we partnered with John and Missy, who we've been friends with for the last decade, to bring that to our members. And I think it's a pretty holistic approach where there is a lot of emphasis on the interconnectivity, but I understand what you mean. If you dedicate a whole month to something and aren't mindful of that interconnectedness, then you're gonna be deficient in other areas while you're trying to shore up one another. So totally get it, man, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you, Ivan.
Awesome. Well, great advice. I told you to get some good advice, bro.
Yeah, of course. I never doubted it. I wanted to set expectations.
If anybody else has anything, you guys all have each other's contact info. We have the WhatsApp group. You all know how, you have each other's emails and phones. Get with Blake. Blake, I would definitely watch this over again. But guys, before we wrap up, I would love to just take a moment to close your eyes, put some prayers out for Joel Stolte's mom. He had something come up that he needs our love. So just 60 seconds, if you wouldn't mind sending some energy towards Joe Stolte, his mom, his family, before we wrap up. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And let's continue to do that. Let's just not make that a 60-second thing. Anytime we have something in the group, in the family here, try to keep it in your hearts and souls at night and in the morning when you wake up, because I think that's a lot of power in it, a lot of power in it. So anybody have any last minute questions or comments before we wrap up?
Great meeting.
Yes, always. My peer group, my friends, my family. Love you guys. Have a great week. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Hey, guys.
See you, bud.
See ya.
Bye.